Welcome to episode number 32 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is Dr. Games 101.
What up, people?
We're starting an hour later than normal because All Elite Wrestling was airing Dynamite tonight. They were preempted from their normal Wednesday time slot because of the hockey games, which is why we're starting an hour later. But since we started talking about wrestling, there is actually something I've been wanting to cover with you, even though it's not gaming related.
Of course.
But it's something I do want to bring up.
And what's that?
Because I've tried to get you to watch AEW Dynamite. You get TNT where you live, right?
I have to go to the living room for it. My room has another cable service, so I canceled
Okay.
it 5 years ago when the wrestling was very popular among the cable. Meaning that Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, all these shows were on part of the cable package that I signed up for. But after 2017, 2018, all of them just went different ways. They went to some rare HD system or satellite channel. I'm like, what's the point? And at the time, Xbox One had the feature where you watch TV and play games at the same time on the same screen. That feature's no longer there anymore, especially after when Xbox Elite and Xbox Series S came out, because you don't have that.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that why Xbox is removing features. Because when you streamed on Twitch through Xbox One, you could see the comments that came up. I think you just had to hit the Xbox button, but now you can't do that either.
Yeah,
it's like, why are you taking features away? You know, the whole thing would be a whole lot better if you left those features in.
Yeah, but I heard based on what someone told me. Well, it's my confidant again, my gaming confidant. I had to call him. He's enjoy gaming again. He told me many months, if not a couple of years back, that the reason why they stopped the feature because of some frame rate issue with the main screen. So if let's say you want to go watch YouTube while playing Call of Duty, your frame rate on the Call of Duty screen will be slowed down by about 5 frames per second at the most. But that's very rare. Not everyone has that experience before, that problem before. Even myself, I don't have that experience. Now, the other way around is where YouTube's screen or Internet Explorer screen or whatever the secondary screen is, it slows down by about 5 frames as well. So it's kind of like, like a hit and miss. So you can't have it all. I'd rather have that screen within the screen than to have nothing at all. Because I'm paying good money. I pay $50, $60 a year for Xbox, and I'm still doing this. I want to do it next month again. So,
right, and I mean, yeah. So it just sucks that they're taking features away. 5 frames per second. Honestly, that's really not too noticeable. Doesn't sound like it would be noticeable, but I would. And I get it. It also depends on your internet connection. If you have broadband or fiber optics, it'll run a lot faster than, say, you'll be able to do a lot more than if you were still using dial-up for some reason.
Yeah.
But I just wish, it's like one thing if the feature, didn't work for many people. It should be there for people who have fast enough internet speeds that it can be there anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, like I said, I wanted to talk about this first, just spur of the moment. Also, wrestling has gone pretty much. It really depends what you want to watch. Is where you have to go. WWE's on USA and Fox at the moment. I don't know for how much longer, especially since their ratings are in the crapper. Impact Wrestling, they're airing. They have their shows on Access TV. If you don't have Access TV, you can pay $1 a month to their YouTube channel and watch Impact on YouTube.
Okay.
Ring of Honor, they have their Sinclair network. I think Sinclair Network owns the wrestling company.
Right.
So they also own the distribution rights, and I think Sinclair Network, since they own the company, they broadcast their company on their network. All Elite Wrestling's on TNT. They're going to be moving their main flagship show to TBS at the beginning of next year.
TBS, alright.
While having their secondary show still be on TNT. Um, but the thing is, I told you, I've been telling you, you gotta watch, you should watch All Elite Wrestling. You should watch an episode. And the thing is, you kind of give me the answer, and correct me if I'm wrong. Your answer felt like it was, you fell out of sorts with WWE, as most people have.
Hmm.
And you're like, well, if I fell out of sorts with WWE, how do I know I would join I would enjoy All Elite Wrestling or any other wrestling for that matter? Is that valid
It
to what
depends.
you said?
It's more like trying to. It's almost like the standard of the world of wrestling is about ice cream, right? And every different brand of wrestling brand has like different ice cream flavor. So it's kind of like I had vanilla with WWE. Well, they say it's going to be Rocky Road or chocolate chip cookie dough, whatever, with AEW. Now that's you're right. To some extent, that's how I feel with that battle. Like I feel like I'm going to have the same experience eventually with AEW because, you know, let's face it, AEW is like the new guy in the block. So TNA is one thing. TNA I could deal with um, watching them every now and then if I can find where they watch. But you told me that they were moving all over the place for the last couple of months or so. So it's hard to find them. But but with AEW, yes, I can watch them. They're pretty good. They got Chris Jericho. They got Juvenile Guerrera. Uh,
Well, that
Daniel
went to
Bryan.
Guerrero was a one-time thing.
It's a one time.
But
Okay, never mind.
but they got Cody Rhodes, a bunch of wrestlers that got fired from WWE. Many of them are trying to get jobs at AEW.
That's good.
Even though Tony Khan said we can't take everyone that wants to leave WWE.
Yeah. Maybe it's my age is talking because obviously I'm currently going back to school this Monday. Not any given time this Monday because it's an online class, so it's like I can't stay around watching wrestling. I could watch wrestling nighttime, obviously, but it's a different atmosphere, different time, different place. It's not the year 2001 where everyone was watching wrestling back then. All of our high school students, junior high school classmates, hell, even the teachers watch wrestling, if I recall correctly. But that was like 20 years ago. Now it's like, it's about softy, touchy, feely, like, oh, no violence, no video game violence, no nothing like that these days. And it's like, I don't want to be around, not be around wrestling, but the way things been put up for the last several years, from WWE's going for PG since 2008, was very disappointed in my factor of watching wrestling. Because
Yeah, but
others
see,
will,
that's the thing. You're taking that's the way I felt you were taking something that WWE does, and is claims every other network does, claims every other wrestling company is doing that. You want to talk about PG? That match between Chris Jericho and Nick Gage with the light tubes and everything was not PG.
light tubes. You serious?
Yeah, when Nick Gage was smashing light tubes on top of Chris Jericho, you don't remember that?
Oh yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Okay,
Yeah,
I was
that's
fucked
not
up.
PG.
Uh,
But
well, it's
the
too
way
hot for TV sometimes. Depends on what you watch.
but the point that I was making is, uh, I want to use soda as an example. Say um, I don't know if you will remember this, but remember years ago when Coca-Cola came out with New Coke
I
and
remember
everyone
that.
hated it?
Hmm.
Okay, that's like you trying out New Coke, hating it, and saying, you know what, I'm not drinking soda ever again. I know there's Pepsi out there, I know RC Cola's out there, I know, but if
All
New
those
Coke
brands.
sucks, why should I even bother trying Pepsi and RC Cola? And it's like, because they're different companies, they have different recipes.
I don't know. Like I said, it could be my age. I'm 34 right now, and my birthday was over a month and a half ago. So things change. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying I hate wrestling or I hate watching sports altogether. It's just that, like, with the political messaging out there about the Black Lives Matter, and I'm not saying I hate Black lives or I hate my own kind or my own people or whatever, but it's just that all this political stuff, it should have been done like 20 years ago, and now it's like at least 10 years ago. But now it's like, okay, now everyone's pushing that message on sports. Soon wrestling will interfere because back in 2012, 2013, if you were well aware of this, the year before we started talking together for the first time in a while, back in 2013, they had this We the People pack or We the People group, whatever, and it was about illegal immigrants and stuff like that. It was political, which I liked about it at first because they brought about the message or the forefront of the issue in the United States of illegal immigration. But now all of a sudden with the Black Lives Matter, it just seems out of touch or out of place. It depends on how many people watch wrestling, how much they watch it, and I guess you say wrestling is more like one of those family shows now. It's not like it's for us young adults going into adulthood now.
I don't know, because like you got Game Changer Wrestling, where Nick Gage usually wrestles out of. All Elite Wrestling actually had trouble with one of their advertisers after Nick Gage used a pizza cutter on Chris Jericho, because the network, because when All Elite Wrestling has a match in progress and they have to go commercial, they do the picture-in-picture thing. Oh, yes. And they just happened to be running a Domino's ad at the same time Nick Gage used a pizza cutter on Chris Jericho. And I heard like Domino's got like a big upstink about like they wanted to pull their advertising.
Oh, come on. That's weak. That's a good thing. Pizza cut on the head, pizza on live on TV,
Yeah, so on one half of the screen you saw Domino's like advertising their pizza. On the other half of the screen you saw Nick Gage running a pizza cutter across the top of Chris Jericho's forehead.
Perfect advertisement. What do you expect? I mean, that's what I hate about. This is one of the reasons why I don't want to pursue too much in being a hugely rich, famous person at this time of my life, because people think I'm so sort of like over critical asshole because I talk too much or I have critical thinking, whatever. And that's how I feel about certain people online. But that's what I'm hearing, or at least what they told me directly, at least that. And you're right. There are times where people just start to, see something from a different perspective that you don't see, and it usually gets you. That's what happens when we deal with the cancel culture today.
I have to ask you, when you have like a free time, like say you had a lot of free time recently, do you still watch wrestling from the Attitude Era, like 97, 98, 99, like when you're
purposely. My goal, here's what happened back before I threw out all my wrestling tapes because of Hulk Hogan's, scandal.
Right.
What happened, my goal was to collect all pay-per-views from 1998 to 2002 of the Attitude Era. I think goodness I didn't throw on every single one of them, but I could restock, recollect them. I was collecting also pay-per-views after 2002 when there's hardcore matches, special matches like TLC matches, tables, ladders, and chairs matches, you name them, street fights, that type of stuff. Especially between 1998 and 2002, with Shane McMahon, Kurt Angle, Booker T, right. The Rock, the Armageddon the Cell. Dude, that particular Armageddon 2000 event, that cost at least $100 to buy a DVD, brand new.
Oh wow!
But the Armageddon 1999, I got for about $5-10 for a VHS. So, it was pretty good. Vince McMahon versus Triple H, pretty good.
Yeah.
So, it was like I'm collecting the past more than the present. And that's where most of my time is.
But the past is more entertaining to watch.
Yes. That's why I don't see me watching too much AEW. Even if it's a different brand, different company, different goals they have in mind to bring the audience together and stuff. But, it's not the same like it once was 20 years ago. That's what I feel like,
It's never going to be the same.
Yes.
It's just like right before the Attitude Era, but like the mid '90s when it wasn't the Hogan era, but it wasn't the Attitude Era yet. It was that space in between. WWE was calling it the New Generation Era. Mm-hmm. I bet you there were fans who were saying, Hogan's not there, Macho Man's not there anymore. Ultimate Warrior's not there, I bet there were people like that, who said, the guys I watched, 5-10 years ago, they're not there, so this is boring.
Oh yes.
And then I bet you a bunch of those guys came back when the Attitude Era came.
Oh yeah.
And then when the Attitude Era was over.
And then wrestlers like Sergeant Slaughter, he came back in 2003 to go up against Test before he died years later. Test, the wrestler. So he's dead.
Who went up against him?
Yeah, I think Sergeant Slaughter was passed too. That's a while ago. If I
Yeah,
recall
well,
correctly.
the point I was trying to make is, like the Attitude Era got a lot of people back. And listen, it's been 20 years, and a hot era like that, it's never going to happen. But then again, since WCW and ECW died, there have been these companies. Impact survives year by year. I hope they're in the black now.
Hmm.
Um, for a long time, they were losing money instead of making money. Uh, but All Elite Wrestling is owned by Tony Khan. His father owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Tony Khan probably has more
Interesting.
money than Vince McMahon at his disposal.
He's a billionaire basically, like this man.
Yeah.
He's bigger, billionaire, a lot larger. The football is more
Uh,
popular than the wrestling. I heard.
Yeah, but then you got other companies, like you said. There's Ring of Honor, which I never saw. No, saw one episode of Ring of Honor in New York,
Hmm.
but it's got some syndication on Fox around where I live now. Like if I turn on Fox in the afternoon, like on Saturday or Sunday, I usually see Ring of Honor wrestling.
Really, for Fox 5 or Fox altogether?
It's not Fox 5. I don't even know what Fox is on here because usually I'm just flipping through the channels.
Okay, so it must be the regular Fox then from like that's part of like the channel
What
100.
will be Fox 5 in New York will be Fox 31 somewhere
Okay.
else.
I'm so used to Fox 5 because we have that here in New York City. Last
Right.
time you were here, so
But anyway, so like you got Ring of Honor on syndication, Major League Wrestling. I think they have their own YouTube channel now.
okay.
Uh, Billy Corgan's NWA used to be on YouTube, but they got a deal with, I think, Fight TV.
All right.
But hey, Billy Corgan said YouTube wasn't a long time thing. It was just something to hold him over until he could find a network that would give him a 1 hour spot every week. So the point is, at least what I like about wrestling from now instead of then is you got all these companies. You can't find work in WWE or WWE doesn't want to treat you right. You got a whole bunch of companies, and all those companies I named are just in the United States. That's not counting Mexico. That's not counting Japan,
Mm-hmm.
which also has companies.
New Japan Pro
AAA
Wrestling.
and
New Japan.
CMLL are in Mexico. New Japan Pro Wrestling and other promotions are in Japan. So like even if you couldn't find work in the States as a wrestler, you could go over there.
Oh yes.
So that's one great thing about today. There's so many more options. So it's not like you just have WWE, WCW, and ECW.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the way the wrestlers been treated, as of late too, for the last at least 5 years, in my opinion, that is in perspective. Because back in 2015, you heard about that story with Hulk Hogan say the N word in one of his sex tapes or whatever the fuck he was doing. That's his personal life. In his own house, is in his damn house. Like, let him speak his word in his own house. Like, you want to say the N word, you want to say bitch, hoe, whatever. Go right ahead, but don't tell a man not to speak his mind in his own castle or his own house. I don't like that.
so I have to. So you weren't offended when Hulk Hogan was caught saying the N word like that?
Not necessarily, because it's just he's from an era where segregation was still around. So it's like, he's not like some total racist bigot. I'm sure he hangs around other people. Like, who's that guy he was hanging around with during the 1980s WrestleMania? Mr. T and all.
Yeah.
They hanged out soon afterwards.
Yeah.
That conflict. I'm recording right now, Debbie. Sorry about that, guys. So basically, what I was trying to say is that between Hulk Hogan and Mr. T during WrestleMania, what, two or three, one of those WrestleManias.
WrestleMania 1.
Okay.
But Mr. T came back for 2 boxing match against Roddy Piper.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of the best things since happened since ever in wrestling history. But then all of a sudden, for the last 5 years, the treatment of wrestlers and saying that they're racist or they're bigoted, they're misogynist, you're emasculating what's the backbone of a wrestling sport altogether. You can't just be like telling these wrestlers that, oh, you gotta be sensitive and kind and stuff like that. Because if you work out at a gym for 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, you feel like a motherfucker. You wanna like you want to get out there, not fight, but the energy that you develop over time. Because I was trying to pursue to be a wrestler for a few months, like during my summer time, because I was like, let me try out this wrestling, this athletic routine where I go to the gym for a couple of hours and then ride a bike for 15 miles and then jog for about an hour or two and stuff like that, And it's like I'm trying to do all that stuff, and it's like, man, this is tiring. But I felt alive more. I felt like I want to take on the world more. Like I'm not saying I'm just all over the place with the emasculation and stuff like that. But it's just that you can't tell guys just to be kind, because that's what keeps them alive. That's how it is, especially in athletic sports.
Well, the whole thing is I think what most people were upset with the New Day in WWE even touched on this is when Hulk Hogan was caught saying it, instead of coming out and apologizing for it, he just tried to defend it. Problem is, everything that comes out of Hulk Hogan's mouth is a lie.
Okay.
Like Hulk Hogan said in the 1980s when he became a wrestler, he actually had to choose between either that or being the lead guitarist for Metallica.
No way.
Metallica came up and said, we never talked about Hulk Hogan joining the band.
You lie like that? Oh, wow. Does he know that there's an internet out there? I said 1989, that's 90, but,
Unfortunately, if Hulk Hogan's like tooting his own horn, you really have to check up on what he says, because
I mean, you see, I have Hulk Hogan behind me. I looked up to the guy when I was a kid. That was the best time. Yeah. So it's like,
unfortunately, he lies almost every chance he gets now.
So he's full of shit now.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I mean, that was pretty weird when Metallica came out and said, we never talked about Hogan joining our band. What is he talking about?
But does he play guitar, Hulk Hogan? At least that he
I really don't. I guess he does.
I don't remember this either.
Well, he did play guitar one time, but I don't know, like, if he was actually playing guitar or if they had, like, music on in the background.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's possible he does, but...
But yeah, I will definitely try to do my best to watch more of AEW, at least that brand, for a few weeks to a few months. Depends. It really depends on my time that I have available to myself, because during the daytime it's about school or uploading to YouTube, whatever. The nighttime is the time that I just play by myself or hang out with friends online, whatever. Because I'll be with those guys for a few hours at a time, so that can happen too. That factor, because most of the gamers on Xbox Live, they're not into wrestling, and they never were.
Right.
And it sucks,
But many people I don't even talk to on Xbox Live anymore. Usually, it's the only time I talk with them is if we're joined an online game together, like if we're working together on the Division or something.
Okay.
Speaking of which, I know we talked about different brands of wrestling. The first topic I actually have planned for the podcast was about WWE 2K.